Is being a business loan broker fulfilling partially or fully? Is it worth it to you? Hi, welcome in. This is Michael. Before I get into the main piece of content, let me give you perceived value. I'm an introvert, a cerebral, people would say the brainy type of person, analytical minded, mathematical, system oriented. That's just how my brain works. I went to school, I educated myself. I started as a Division 1 soccer player, studied a bit of sociology, and then transitioned quickly into chemical engineering. That's just how my mind works. And then eventually, because I wanted to start a business after taking many classes there and satisfying lower requirements and middle tier requirements as well, I got further into the business side of things and it went for me well there. I've worked in construction, manufacturing. I've worked in many different roles on the field, not like in a cubicle space, eventually financial logistics, getting into more data and then media and doing a few things there. So there are different parts of getting somebody funding. Think about this as like you're putting a recipe to bake a cake or any kind of food you're cooking. Think about it like elements together. You have compounds or a mathematical equation and you're trying to get the solution slash answer. So there are parts where you have the broker who does a lot of the upfront work, broker slash agent, and then in between all of that, before there's the equal to and then the actual solution or the outcome, which the client gets the funding and does more with that, you have the underwriting processes, you have the lenders, you have little things in between being looked at. And so you're pretty much the front end. Think about it like a value ladder too. You have the front end in a business where you have a continuous product, probably over time, but on the front end, you're giving them something for free or it's a lower price product, and then you're bringing them in the door. And then the next part, the underwriter, junior, senior underwriters, final decision here, lender does this, and maybe somebody in between is locating where those lenders are and getting the person the best offer. And that could be you too. So, my personality and why I say all this is best suited for that underwriter role. And it's best suited for that lender role. Eventually, I may just become a lender. But I pre underwrite files a lot. And this is where a lot of my fulfilling work comes in. If you're the extroverted type, maybe you're like me, and I shy away from camera, although I've learned the skill set now. I prefer to write and blog, I've done a lot of that. But it can be a daunting thing when you're just getting started and don't have direction. I get that. There's training to that. I'll try to leave you information down below. But where I find the fulfillment in this is being able to then pre-underwrite somebody's file. So how does that flow look like? Not everybody does it this way. Not everybody could tolerate doing it the way that I do, but I don't mind sitting in front of a computer nowadays for hours on end, even forgetting sometimes to have breakfast and then reminding myself that I need to, and times when I don't need to have it. And I can go without saying a word, but I'm doing a lot of looking at data. I'm looking at bank statements, tax returns, profit and loss, and pre-underwriting or underwriting a file even before it goes to those main underwriters. And I know what those underwriters are looking for. So it's more fulfilling for me when I know what they're looking for. So when I bring somebody through, I know exactly by looking at documentation and doing other things, part of the process, that I know that this is the best suited person for that specific underwriter and underwriters and the lender or lenders. So I have people fill out a questionnaire form on my site. That's usually my initial point of contact. Sometimes they might just try to call me, or they might say, call me and all of this. They give me a number, maybe an email, and then I'll send them my questionnaire there. I'll make some recognition, build a little bit of rapport. But for me to say that my main thing is to be on a phone call, this wouldn't be satisfying to me. Maybe it is to you and you're that type of person. I don't come from a sales background. I know it now, and I've learned the marketing over time, having to run a digital marketing agency, lead generation business, affiliate marketing in the health space, other verticals, other ventures. This is my primary focus here as an expert. And so having to go through all this, there's a time when a phone call can and may make sense. Not for everybody. You have to be cautious of your energy and time. And what part of the process are you getting in contact with them? And are you going through what parts? From the very beginning of the report phase, and then you're going into and asking them about 3 or so questions on cash flow, collateral, credit, liquidity, or what are you trying to go through? There's a step-by-step process that I've helped out people with. But for me, I have people fill out a questionnaire, and it's really like mandatory for me. I make it for just about everybody. I try not to make an exception because you're going to find out that there's a flow to this. Sometimes it makes sense to do it this way in the beginning, but I don't always get on calls with everybody. I funded a lot of clients without getting on a phone call with a lot. A lot of this I do it through email in other ways, and they would prefer it that way, or they don't mind. They're okay with that, and I have great personal and business relationships with. So what I have people do is fill out a questionnaire on my site. I may give you a quick demonstration down below, or I'll show you a video on my process. And they'll fill out details from top to bottom. It could be a little bit extensive, but by the point or by the time that they get to my questionnaire form, they already are pre-framed. Pre-framed meaning I've put some content of value in front of them before they landed on my questionnaire form. So they have some rapport, some recognition with me at the very least, personally and in business. And so by the time that they land on that form, there's really less friction and less resistance in filling that out, whether it's short or long. And as you build your own audience and your own experiences, whether you're doing this online or offline, this can work in your favor and in your interest. So I have them fill out details in different fields. It can take them literally less than a minute. They can give me somewhat of an estimate, but be as accurate as possible. And on the thank you page, when they submit their information, and guess and know that when they're submitting their information, they're actually putting in like their monthly revenue, their credit, do they have collateral, business credit, all of these things. So that already gives me energy and time and efficiency. And I'm going to use that to pre-underwrite a file based on credit, cash flow, collateral, and then business credit, startups and non-startups. And then when I get the documents, it's even more that I can see. And at what stages is it given to me directly? Is it something that we look at on our back end this way? Is it not looked at entirely? How do we go about that? And so when that goes through, there's usually a thank you page video, or there might be something different that changes over time. But I let them know, hey, just in case this is me and you're getting this information from me, I let them know why I do it the way that I do it. And so after that gets submitted, when I have the time to go into my email inbox, we'll go over that questionnaire they submitted because it lands in my email, and I will analyze it, evaluate it very thoroughly, and I'm at the same time pre-underwriting that file based on the experiences, based on different industries, based on what I know, underwriting guidelines of different lenders, of different products and services, and so much more. So what I then do is I respond back to them with a highly personalized and customized email response, even giving them a PDF with their best funding option and options, thoroughly broken down, detail per detail, showing them information that they couldn't have received in any other way. They couldn't have found this publicly, literally. A lot of the lenders don't show them this. A lot of the lenders don't want them to know that. Some of it, I just can't show them that. I get that. But they're going to know detail per detail. They can read through it, and then they're going to see the documents, what's needed, how it gets submitted, and in the application, there might be a link there to get started with these fintech lenders and providers, or I'll ask for them in a separate way how to submit that package. So it's very energy and time effective, and some of them will go, well, this is a little bit overwhelming. There's quite a bit of information. Yeah, but I guide them on where to look on those pages, on that email. So they're not having to look everywhere and anywhere. They're going to know everything and anything that they can or can't get. But it's better to know what they can and can't qualify for instead of going out there making mistakes by themselves or thinking that this is the right solution when it really isn't. And so the people who take the time to read this really show you that they're more, I don't want to say the word worth pursuing and going with, but they're more committed. They're going to show you micro commitments along the way. And this is just the way that I do it. You could do it differently. You could be that person who does the call thing and spends their time and calls 20 to 30 people. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did that, whether it's myself doing that outbound or there are inbound and I'm the first point of contact, always just getting on the call with them immediately. Sometimes it makes sense for me to immediately do that for questions that they didn't put or submit on the questionnaire, or it's a time sensitive thing and it's better that I do this, or for some other reasons. But normally I'll go through the questionnaire and I'll submit to them everything they need. I follow up with a text message. Usually they put their mobile, and then I'll let them know, hey, I sent you this email with the subject line. Please look for this, blah, blah, blah. Read over it. Your first option is the best one to get started with. They'll read through it. They can get started right then and there, go submit an application. However, I accept the documents and so forth. That's another question. They have questions, they answer and reply back to the email, send me a quick text, messenger, wherever it is. It may take a phone call at that point. If they need clarity, they go, hey, Michael, yes, I did look at it. And you know they looked at it because that's going to speed up things. They're going to take it upon themselves to see if they can or can't qualify. They're going to disqualify or qualify themselves. And at that point, they might have a question that was already there or it wasn't. So they'll go, hey, Michael, I just need clarity on this option. I saw it. Just want to go over a few things. probably build a little more rapport. You get into the sequence of that service or those services. There's more clarity, there's more familiarity. Okay, let me get started. I'll get started. You can even ask them, how fast are you willing to move if you didn't have that answer already. When do you think I can expect the application and documents submitted to me? Sometimes you can ask that. It's not always do you, but it would be a good thing to ask. There's a little bit more in that process, but again, I'm being energy and time effective in all of this. My personality and my and what I need to meet in those. I'm not your quote unquote extrovert, or I can be. I'm ambiverted with extroverted qualities, and I do well in many different areas, specialize and so forth. But you got to use your skill sets, and not every time is it going to be the most fulfilling work. Not always is this fulfilling work to me. Parts of it are more than others. It's just about the sequences and what parts and type of client you get, because you're going to get a lot of people too that are very unpredictable. So if you keep losing clients, don't let that be the end all be all. Look at it after a year or two and then look back and say, what could you have done differently? And I know this client was worth it, but they ended up making me age through the process. What could I have said differently? Or it wasn't on me, it was on them. I'm at a point where this doesn't fall on me usually, it's on the client, because they're so sporadic, unpredictable. They can self sabotage themselves a lot. And you just have to work with them as a person. You have to uh, restructure their beliefs, their misconceptions, their myths, their fears, all of this stuff. You really need to know how to break it down. And that's why marketing is a very important thing, and doing it ethically is going to help. And we haven't even gotten into the logic of the numbers and all of this stuff. So I can go into this video even deeper and deeper and deeper into each one of these things, but is it worth it? It can be. Like if you just look at the money, then and that's all you're fixated on and not providing value and doing all the other parts to even get to that outcome, then you're likely going to fail, and you're going to fail very fast, but you're going to learn a lesson. I didn't look at it like that when I first got started. I have other businesses and I know about value, and I know about my why was because I've been there. I run multiple businesses, having funded them and not having somebody in my corner who was really there to guide me, and just trying to go through online marketplaces that wasn't really the best thing now looking back on it. And everybody's out there to try to get you. They really don't care about you as a person and in business. A lot of them are like this, just talkers. I'm not one. I'm again a thinker more than anything, but you see me here just going through things and just people going in the wrong direction, and I was one of them. And good thing I went and I pivoted and started doing things right. Personal business credit cards, other types of funding services out there, and so forth. But I see that impact that it does for the business owners, the small business owners in the economy, and they drive a lot of that force. And seeing them more happy running their businesses, knowing that it's at its most efficient stage, cash flow wise, profitability, revenue. And I look at all that and I do that too with people. I help them improve those. And then cut down on expenses and other things in ways that they can increase their revenue, their net operating income, and many more ways that make their business more efficient depending on that industry. So there are many more levels to me, but I've seen that impact and the happiness that it creates with the business owner or owners in their own customers or clients, and what they're able to achieve, and a lot of the things in growth. And myself, uh, going through that situation and then wanting to show people what it is actually like, and somebody who's loyal, disciplined, humble, respectful, accountable, responsible, punctual, disciplined. Very confident. I'm not cocky at all. I'm a Libra. I didn't grow up with being cocky or none of that. But hopefully you got a few things out of this. I know your ways of doing it might be different than mine. Is it worth it? It can be. Just know that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. At a point, you might want to just quit, because it's painfully hard to get a client funded at times, because you feel like you have someone, everything goes through, and then something in the underwriting comes up, or a different service. Okay, they don't qualify. They had the credit. No. Okay, no. They won't. Okay, revenue base. Okay, collateral. Yes, but they don't have enough of it. It's this type of. There's always something that happens, and there's times when it just goes through smoothly. Other times where it won't go through smoothly, but it gets funded. And so you really at that point will then look back and think, is it worth it? I think it is, but there are still even days for me where I go, even as well as I'm doing on the numbers and all that. But there's still days for me and months, and I go, I'd just rather work on my other businesses and then use what I've earned here and just put more back into that, put a percentage back into this, get back to the community, do this and that. But there are also other times and months where you go through and you go, yeah, this is really, really going to be carrying you the momentum. And it's just about how you go about conducting your business And if you're different than I am, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but work to your skill sets. I just don't want to say that my number one skill set was being on a phone, and being the person who can talk to somebody on the phone is my skill set. I wouldn't be happy with myself, at least myself. That's just me though. No matter how good I am skillfully at doing it, which nowadays I am, but that's not what I want to say is my primary skill. My primary skill is pre-underwriting or underwriting those files and looking at them and showing people what they can and can't qualify in a different manner. That's also very energy and time effective. So look at those skill sets you have. How do you apply them? Where else can you apply them to, and what other industries as well? How can you grow more skills? Over time, as you become the CEO, president, etc., you start to become more of a quote unquote generalist. You have your hands in a lot of projects, but you're less focused on one specific skill and one specific specialty. That's what happens a lot. Not all in all circumstances, but you may have started here and then you move your way up. But that's everything. All information in the description down below. Hopefully you got some value from this. Detach yourself from the outcome always, which is the money, and look at the value. Look at what you have to go through in the process to help somebody as a person transform, and in their business, what you get out of that, what they get out of that, and things will then start to come together. More information on how to get leads and all that stuff I will leave for you down below in the description. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.